All right, we are now ready to assemble our exterior. So you should have 2 top accent pieces, 1 bottom piece, 2 gussets that don't have any rings attached, 2 gussets that do, and the front pocket and back pockets. Okay, we're going to start with our front pocket piece. Let's see, I adjusted my video, so let's see if I can do this clearly. Okay, so we'll take our 2 gusset pieces that have the rings attached, and we are going to attach them to this side with the gusset, with the ring connector sandwiched between the 2 pieces. And I'm going to pin those on both sides. I always pin the top and the bottom, and then in between. Then I'm going to pin the other side the same way. All right, so I have these 2 gusset pieces, oh, they're heavy, attached to both sides of the front pocket piece. I need to add 1 more little clip on each side because of the weight of the vinyl. Okay. See if I can sew this without knocking over something like the camera. Okay. We're still sewing with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And when you get to the ring connector, the side ring connector, I'm going to sew over it, and then I'm going to sew back. And then back over it again. Because I want this thing to be secure. I don't want it to be ripping out later. A lot of weight will be on these rings. Where did I put my scissors? Okay, so I'm going to trim this a little bit, just down to 1/4 inch, including the excess of the ring connectors. And I'm going to top stitch with, I'm going to put the seam towards the pocket. In fact, this whole time, anytime you're top stitching this piece, you're top stitching towards the pocket. So this is why I didn't want to have too much interfacing in the seams. Beautiful. So this is the first side finished. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Sew it, trim it, top stitch it. Okay, we now have this side all stitched, the gussets to the pockets. Trying to have everything show at this angle, and it's hard to get everything in the shot. Next, we're going to keep working on this piece. We're not going to work on the the back pocket piece yet. And we're going to pin the accent to the top and the bottom to the bottom. Then we're going to sew, trim, and top stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and pin that off camera. Okay, everything's pinned. I've got the bottom on the bottom and the accent on the top. And I'm going to go ahead and sew across both of these. Now you do have to make sure you don't catch the strap that's hanging loose, so just move that out of the way. And this is the part where if we hadn't done a larger seam allowance on the top of the pocket, we would have to worry about sewing the pocket into this seam. Okay, so you can see that there is about 1/4 inch of pocket showing at the top, and that's all right. So hopefully you picked a lining that you like, because it will peek through a little in the front and the back. So I'm going to trim this and then top stitch it. I'm not going to trim it all the way off, just about half of it. I want to make sure there's enough seam to top stitch. And like I said before, the seam goes towards the pocket. And top stitch it. All done with this top piece. And now I'm going to do the bottom. I have sewn the bottom on, and now I'm going to top stitch it up towards the pocket, which I appreciate because it's no fun top stitching vinyl. I know I grumble about vinyl a lot. I really like the finished look of it. I just don't enjoy sewing it. Okay, now this next part is where it gets a little tricky. I think it was one of the hardest parts for my testers. Let me move aside my clips. Okay. So we have got to attach the other 2 gussets before we can attach the other side. So we have to do the same thing to these gussets that we did to the other one. We have to attach the swivel, or not the swivel hooks, the rings with the connectors at an angle. But this time it's already connected on the other side, so that's just a little tricky. So I need my ruler. And remember, the top corner of it is 2 inches down. But then we also have to have it stick out an inch. This is hard for me to do at an angle where the camera can see. So I've got it sticking out an inch. I've got to move it down just a little bit. So I've got this 2 inches down, sticking out an inch, and this bottom corner is matched up with the edge. So I'm going to pin that there. And I'm going to baste over this just like we did before. So that's what I'm going to do right now with this side and with this side as well. I have these both clipped the right way now, and I'm just going to baste them into place. Whoop. Oh, something's trying to eat something else. I'm going to have to fix this. I have that all sorted out. I'm going to do the other side. So turn the whole thing, the whole bag, so that I can top stitch this second gusset. Not top stitch, baste. Now this probably feels a bit awkward right now because these second gussets are not attached to anything. They're just floating free. But now they're basted in place. So the next step is to take my back pocket piece. I'm going to place everything down like so. And I'm going to get my back pocket piece. Sorry, drama behind the scenes. Almost lost my scissors falling on the ground. Okay, so make sure you have your top up, and you're going to match the sides of this gusset to the sides of this pocket. I'm going to clip these together, and then I'm going to clip these together, sew and top stitch, and then I'm going to attach those over here, sew, clip, top stitch. My first side of the back pocket attached to that second gusset. So it looks like this from this side, and this from this side. Sorry about the awkward camera angles. My other videos were having some issues with not zooming properly. So I thought I would try turning the camera this way. Okay. And we're sewing 1/2 inch seam allowance again. Just like before, we're sewing forward, back, forward over the connector. And I'm going to trim this seam 1/4 inch. including the ring connector, which is rather thick. And top stitching towards this pocket piece. And as you sew, the other side of the purse just comes along for the ride. Okay, so we've got one pocket, the back pocket attached by the rings, and we're going to pull it over to this other freestanding gusset, and I'm going to do what I just did. Pin, sew, trim. And it still needs to be top stitched, so I'm just going to turn it in such a way that I can top stitch it. Once again, top stitching towards the pocket. And you just move the other half of the purse out of your way when necessary. Okay. So we've got the two sides. Remember, one of them has this accent piece attached, one of them does not yet. They're only attached so far by these rings on either side. And now we're going to attach the bottom of the back pocket. Get my extra threads out of the way. The bottom of this back side pocket to the other edge of the bottom piece. So just need to clip across this and then sew. I sewed all the way across the bottom, and now I'm going to trim it. Okay, this is one of the trickiest parts because now we have to top stitch that seam, but it can be a little hard to reach. So first let's turn this right side out. Your side seams are still not sewn, so it looks a bit like this. So in order to sew this, top stitch this seam, you have to put part of the purse underneath the presser foot. Like so. So I put this ring underneath, And then I can slide the rest under and top stitch right here. Just move the ring out of the way. Hopefully this makes sense. And I'm going to top stitch across. And underneath on the back is the other ring on the other side, so just don't let that get caught under your sewing foot. In fact, I think I need to adjust this. There. Okay. Looks like this right now. This was one of the trickiest parts for my testers. So just move the different parts of the purse and the different rings until you can access this seam. Okay, and I slide this other ring out from under, trim my threads, and I can turn this, actually I'm going to keep it inside out right now.